Okay, so yeah, we're working on the same project as the previous presentation, the same larger PhD project. However, our goal is slightly different, so our historical background will overlap quite a bit. But our goal to well, to open up new sort of research possibilities on this data is different, so that will be new.
Yeah, so this is just in short, again, the deportation thing was quite all over Europe, so in all of Europe, 12 to 14 million. Germans were all kind of became refugees and had to go back to Germany, and the Netherlands joined in this. The thing we found very interesting is that in the Netherlands, there was a lot of media coverage from newspapers that's like riled up against any German living in the Netherlands, and even in the parliament, comments were made that they should maybe all be put into a camp, because then there would be more housing available for actual Dutch people, which is kind of scary because that's pre-Second World War camping, the putting into camps, and so there was a lot of media coverage about this, except there's now little to no information about anything that happened during that time, and it's kind of all been shoved under the rug. And with the declassifying of these archives and the becoming public of these archives, we can finally delve into what actually happened and bring it to light, basically, which is what we want to do with the linked data.
So there's, like was previously mentioned, there's 21,000 and a bit cards, paper cards, I believe, that have all this information on them. And so our idea was to put this, as it was now in separate Excel sheets, into linked data format, because as some people know from the course and others from expertise, that basically gives internal and external opportunities for the data. Internally, you can ask more complex queries of it than you can do, for example, in Excel. So it might also, for your research, be more interesting in future stages. And then externally, if you basically name all your things correctly, you can link it to other data sources, as you also mentioned, I believe. And both the internal and external opportunities will go into more as the presentation goes on. Short refresher on how linked data is sort of standardized. So you use the RDF format, which means that you have subject, predicate, object. So there's links between things, and you call those things either by URIs. So this is describing person Bob somewhere, based on an existing vocabulary for relations. Bob knows Alice and has a nickname which is a literal, so that doesn't link to anything else anymore. But that's like Bob has nicknamed the builder, for example. It's not a very meaningful thing, but yes.
Yeah, so because we kind of lack the historical, like, deep knowledge of everything and background, we decided to, with our research questions, focus on a explorative question, see if we could solve that in the end with what we created, and an analytical question, just to see if we could get any success in what we built in the end. So we'll explain the results of these questions at the end.
And in fact, they're quite basic, basically based on the fact that we didn't know anything about linked data technology going into it.
Yeah,
so
we weren't sure what we would be able to question, so these were, this was what we came up with. And then we also wanted to create a conceptual model, just because we are starting this in this PhD project, but it's been going on for 4 years and it will continue for quite a while. And so we want to give you something that we would want to see in the future and what could be built on. But yeah, we haven't been able to create it yet, so it's all conceptual. So we had the basic model, which Bob just explained, is subject, predicate, and object. And the predicate is the relation. However, as the data is quite a lot and you want to kind of sort it out, we had intermediate nodes created, which was allowed us for ordering the data a little bit more, having it more clear if you research something, if you research, what I had, like dates, you get all the dates that are in the, what's it called, in the file. And basically I called all of those meta objects or meta predicates, just to make sure that if you look at the data, you can immediately see what we added and what was the original data, because that was quite important. As the previous group mentioned, there was a lot added, lost in all the translations, which we have a whole list of everything that we think was lost or added. And then also when I made the master Excel sheet, I also kept track of everything I saw that was different, anything that was added, definitely like while adding it on the computer, any mistakes. So that should all be kept in mind. And then when it comes to hierarchy, I added everything with the stamps and the codes to the card as like the object of the card. And then we have another object which is the type of the card, which is in this case the example we use is family, and that has all the personal data attached. So you won't be able to quite read this, but as you saw from last time with the presentation, we have evolved our conceptual model. And I've zoomed in a little bit. Basically, these are the objects, and these are the literals, like Bob the Builder by Bob, which won't link through anything, but these will be able to link. And it's clear, like here before the object, it says meta, so this we have added. And this link has also been specified on that. Yeah, this is only for the first, like this is card number 0. So you can imagine we have 21,000 cards, that it'll be like crazy big. But we just wanted to show, at least for one card, what it could be like. And you see the hierarchy. Top is the card and the codes, and then this is the personal data.
So the way that we actually went about it with this conceptual data structure in mind is to have first a separate Excel sheets, and we put that into one master sheet in CSV format, keeping in mind the link to open data sort of levels, which suggest that based on openness. We didn't really lose any meaning there yet because we just put everything into one sheet based on how people had put it in. Of course, there may have been some loss of data or meaning before that, but we didn't really contribute to that yet. Did that via no, not open and fine yet. Then using that CSV sheet, we put it through OpenRefine to create RDF files. So it kind of looked like this, where you use the row, column, cell as subject, predicate, object. So it sort of automatically generated everything. Then we had our first version with only all of the subject relations to all literals, because we wanted to conserve the original data. And then after that, we started looking at the conceptual model and seeing what can we turn to resources so that we can link further. But that, of course, introduces some interpretation from our side into the model. And yeah, we've also been documenting that. This is what it looks like now. It's very difficult to read if you don't work with it every day. I can still sort of barely make stuff out. It's not exactly like the conceptual model. In fact, it only is the subject out there with relations to either resources or literals. So we have quite some way to go, but we also have further research opportunities for that in our paper and at the end of this presentation. Then using the query language for this format, we asked the questions. I'm not sure if we have that much time to go into it, but for example, the question of what comments do people who got who were denied the change in status, what comments do they have in the files? We just ask, show us the person, so the card, and who got the decision afgewezen or denied, and show us their comments 1 and 2 if they have them. So that gives basically, like for example, this card. No, this card was it was retracted. Some others have other comments, so that sort of works. It doesn't show much meaning yet, but it works.
Yeah, this one was our analytical question, and with this we realized that we didn't ask the correct question, but basically we requested all bureaus and lawyers that were in Amsterdam, and then the decision, and then the lawyer, and yeah, it gave us basically this, which we couldn't really, it's not really ideal to read because you know, like there's multiple people, we have a couple the same, but as you can see, it's already differently documented, so it's much clearer.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, we had to improve this question, but that's what happens with queries.
But it did give us also a lot of ideas for further opportunities, either for the actual PhD research or just in theory. Because basically, as you can see in this structure, there's capital toegewezen and lowercase toegewezen. There's people who are clearly the same person who aren't actually linked, so there's lots to be done internally to the file to link those things better and to clean it up. And also they're having a better back and forth between a very sort of researcher who's really an expert on this and computer scientists who can maybe do it a little better than we can would improve the structure of the data and make it sort of, better.
Yeah, and then we have, because we want to obviously make it linked and there's no research on this yet, we obviously discussed this with Marika, and she would like it to maybe to certain archives from museums, like the Jewish monument thing, but also immigration we would be interesting, like geographical movements of, because a lot of Germans did not want to either stay in the Netherlands or they moved out before this enemy of the state thing could be revoked. So yeah, we just want to, the way we created it, we want to be able to have it be implemented into other linked data sets.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's it.
Yeah, it was a bit rushed because it was a lot to get.
You did a lot of work.
Everybody gets 10 minutes. But I think it was nice that you were showing and really guiding to the research questions and showing how you try to answer them and mentioning problems. I hope this also.
Bless you.
Thank you. I hope also in the report you say, I think mentioning problems, mentioning why things didn't work is as important as mentioning why things work or how they work. And another thing is maybe it's a good idea for the further possibilities or as part of answering your questions to indicate a little bit more in depth how do you know this is not the right result, and structure this kind of things. Okay, names, they're repetitive names, they're spelled differently. So make a list of all those issues that help you evaluate whether the result is good or not, and how this would go to refine either the data, so it either goes back to refine or goes back to restructuring your query. So that this would be two possibilities of upgrading your results. When it's very nice that you sort of gave the graph and showed it, I think you could do a little bit better job of sort of zooming, using colors, showing differences before and after. It was impossible for me to understand what happened after you use the refine, what happened before you started putting things in RDF and so on. So we'll try to think of some kind of consistent visualization that allows you with different colors to highlight things that were there, were not there, different, they linked or so on.
Yeah, I think in the paper we'll add previous models we had and why we changed them. And with this, we just, this was the standardized linked data, how it looked on most websites, and so that's why I stuck to that. But definitely I could add some.
It's nice to show how big it is and complex, but then zoom in so that we can actually read, because I just couldn't see what you're reading there, and I couldn't follow. It's too much to follow. All right. I think this was the same for the first presentation. The screenshots, where they were just way too small. Your narratives, yes.
Yeah.
So zoom in to just to show it, because otherwise it's just pretty colors. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was glad to see that you got the linked data skeleton up, and it looks great. We expected you would, because that's primarily why we focused on different things. I just wanted to say that it is indeed possible to find out who immigrated where, because when we ran those little experiments, he gave me some names and I checked them, and you can trace people all the way from, emigrating to the United States and then receiving the decision that they have been taken off the enemy list while they are living in Los Angeles. So you can still use the data on those sheets to track those people all the way to their death, essentially.
Okay. And where did you find that specifically?
Well, as I said, I just took the names from the sheets and then started putting them through several databases. And one of, among others, yeah. And you can find a lot of details about these people still, so yeah, that was also something that we were looking into.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, thanks. Thanks.